This is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and for nearly a decade, it was one of the best travel credit cards on the market, and it was one of my top recommendations for just about anyone who was looking for a travel credit card. But as of the filming of this video on June 23rd, 2025, the Sapphire Reserve just relaunched with an eye-watering $795 annual fee and a host of features and coupons that are making me question, is it really still the best travel credit card for most Americans? If you're new around here, hi, my name's John of John's Finance Tips. I'm the guy who's had well over 70 plus credit cards so that you don't have to. And when it comes to credit card, the Sapphire Reserve really does have a special place in my heart. I mean, after all, it was one of my first premium travel credit cards that I got back when it launched in 2016. Since then, the Sapphire Reserve has admittedly gotten a little bit boring, and so I was ecstatic to hear a few weeks back that Chase was going to refresh the card. After all, seeing what the Venture X did to the premium travel card space in 2021, I was for sure certain Chase was gonna take back the #1 crown with the Sapphire Reserve. Though looking at all the news that's come out and all the features and coupons that have launched, I might have spoken a little bit too soon. So in today's video, join me as we go ahead and fully break down the Chase Sapphire Reserve. We're gonna talk about the new sign-up bonus, the new earnings, the new benefits, the new annual fee, yikes, and of course, my final verdict and recommendations. And for every section, I'll be sure to give you some historic context so that you can see the changes for yourself. But I wanna be respectful of everyone's time because we're all busy. So you don't have time to sit through this entire video. Here is the TLDR. If you are a new Sapphire member and you've never gotten a card, never gotten a bonus, go ahead, jump on this card, jump on this bonus. If you are a previous Sapphire member, meaning you've had the card or had the bonus, I would consider alternatives. And if you're looking for alternatives, I would strongly recommend two cards. One card is the no annual fee Build MasterCard. The other one can put $5 back in your pocket. That's the Capital One Venture X. And if you're looking for the cards and you like to support my channel, I do have working affiliate links in the description box down below. Check them out. If you are an existing Sapphire card member, meaning you have this card right now, go ahead and hang on to it until the new annual fee hits, and then you can evaluate whether or not you want to hang on to it. Likely, you're probably gonna switch. And lastly, if you are a hobbyist and you just love credit cards and you can track every single benefit and credit with the spreadsheet, jump on this card. For everyone else though, pop a squat, tap the thumb icon, and let's go ahead and jump into it. Section 1, sign-up bonus. The new Chase Sapphire Reserve just launched with a refresh sign-up bonus of 100,000 points, plus a $500 Chase travel credit after you spend $5,000 within the first 3 months. And for context, so you understand how valuable or how common it is to see a 100,000 point bonus, back in 2016, when the Chase Sapphire Reserve first launched, the sign-up bonus was 100,000 points. And just a couple of months ago, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is their mid-tier travel card, was also offering a sign-up bonus of 100,000 points. The other thing you want to note in the terms and conditions, you will not be eligible for this bonus if you currently have any other Sapphire card, previously held this card, or received a new card member bonus from this card. Which, if I'm reading it correctly, it sounds like basically American Express's language of a lifetime restriction. If you got the bonus ever in the past, you can't ever get it again. Previously, this term and condition was a 48-month lockout on any Sapphire product. Section 2, earnings. This card will earn 8x if you book travel through Chase Travel, 4x if you book flights directly with an airline, 4x if you book hotels direct, 3x on dining, and 1x on all other purchases. Now for context, the old Sapphire Reserve used to get you 10x if you booked your hotel or car rental through the Chase Travel Portal, 5x if you book flights through the Chase Travel Portal, and 3x for all travel otherwise. This new card, it's great. I think it's phenomenal to get an elevated 4x for the flights booked direct and 4x for hotels booked direct, but it loses that 3x for all travel. So if you are someone who, let's say, books cruises, you book Ubers, you go on public transit, you book any other form of travel that is not flights direct or hotels direct, you just lost out on a major points earn of 3x which you got previously. Section 3, benefits. And for benefits, I'm gonna talk about 3 subsections. The first benefit section is on all the credits this card comes with. The second, we'll talk about travel, and the third is miscellaneous. So section 1 of the benefits are all the credits. You'll receive a $300 annual travel credit. This is unchanged from the old card, so if you swipe your card and it codes as travel, you get an automatic credit against that. Amazing. You'll get a $500 credit with stays that are booked through the Edit program. These come in the form of $250 for each half. So first 6 months, $250. Next 6 months of the year, you get $250. And the stays must be booked as 2-night minimums. So here I pulled 2 quick examples. I went onto the Chase travel portal and I found this stay at the Park Hyatt. With the Edit, this comes in at $2,390. If you book that exact same Park Hyatt stay with Hyatt directly, it will cost you $2,152. Maybe instead of New York, you want to be in Paris. I pulled this Sofitel in Paris. If you book this program through Chase Travel under the Edit program, for the 2 nights, it will cost you $1,246. If you went directly to Accor and you booked it on their website, this 2-night stay would cost you $1,046. The next credit you get is a $300 dining credit that will be given to you in halves. So the first half of the year, you'll get $150. The second half of the year, you'll get $150. And with dining credits, we typically expect that we can spend them on any dining category. But that's not the case here. The dining credits are only applicable through this list of restaurants. So here are all the cities where you can find eligible restaurants. And for me in Boston, it's these 8 restaurants that I can use my $300 annual dining credit at. The next credit is a $250 credit to Apple TV Plus and Apple Music subscription. The next credit is a $300 StubHub credit that you can use in halves. So you get $150 for the first half of the year and $150 for the second half of the year. The next credit you get is a $300 DoorDash credit, and this is broken down monthly as $25. However, it's not $25 for DoorDash, it is $5 that can be used for restaurants, and 2 separate $10 credits that can be used for things like grocery and retail. So 5 plus 10 plus 10, that's $25 that you can use every single month. But they have to be used individually. The next credit is a $120 Lyft credit, and that can be used monthly as $10 a month. And the final credit to discuss is the $120 Peloton credit that can be used monthly at $10 a month. And for context, the only credit that used to exist before was the $300 travel credit that you can just swipe a card, and as long as it codes as travel, you get it credited back. There was no limitations on monthly, biannually, whether you can use only $5 here or $10 there. It was just $300 and you get to use it. All the other credits / coupons that have been introduced are new. Now let's talk about travel benefits. This card still offers you transfer partners, which is one of my favorite benefits. We won't get into details, but partners like Flying Blue, partners like Hyatt, which by the way, that Park Hyatt example, instead of shelling out the over $1,000 a night, you could have booked that on just 40,000 Hyatt points. That's an example of transferring points, but again, we're not gonna get into the nitty gritty here. You'll also get Sapphire Lounge access for having the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and as a card member, you can have unlimited access. Keep in mind though, if you just have Priority Pass, which cards like, I don't know, American Express Platinum, Venture X, a bunch of travel cards offer you, if you have Priority Pass, you can actually get into the Sapphire Lounge once per year. Another travel benefit is you'll be automatically eligible to get IHG Platinum Elite status. Another benefit is after you spend $75,000 with the card, you'll get Southwest A-List status, and you'll have a $500 credit to use on Southwest as long as you book it through Chase Travel. You'll also automatically then get IHG Diamond Elite status for spending the $75,000. And the final travel benefit I want to focus on is this thing called Points Boost. So what this is when you go and book travel through the Chase Travel portal, it'll say instead of your points being just worth 1x, they could potentially be worth up to 2x. For example, typically we might expect that 100,000 points is worth $1,000 to book for travel. That's 1x. But with Point Boost, it could be worth up to 2x. So your 100,000 points could actually potentially get you $2,000 worth of travel. So let's say we want to go to Bali round trip. You just did a regular search, no Points Boost selected. Well, you could expect to take this Delta flight, which would cost you $1,686, or you could use about 112,000 Chase points. Instead though, let's go ahead and flip on Points Boost. When I turned on Points Boost, my only option were these Emirates flights, which again, these are economy flights. It would cost me cash of a little under $3,000, or I could use about 196,000 Chase points. Okay, let's look at another example. How about Boston to LA? If we go ahead and do that search, we have nearly 300 options without Point Boost turned on, and we could expect to pay about $291 cash or spend 19,360 Chase points. But let's go ahead and turn on Points Boost. With that turned on, we now only have 41 options, And we can look at flights that cost us $354, or we could expect to pay 23,500 points or so. Huh, interesting. This one I'm not quite sure how I feel about, because if you can get 2x, that's incredible. But what I'm seeing right now is if you turn on the points boost feature, you actually get less results, and the results you do are more expensive. So even though you're getting maybe more value for the points, you have to spend more points than you would have had before. I don't know. I think this one is really, really tough. And it's even more complicated because right now I have a Sapphire Reserve, which means I get 1.5x for anything I book. However, if you are new today getting the Chase card, you can't do that. You're just gonna get the points boost options. But I guess what's interesting is I can actually keep my 1.5x boost until October 2027 based on what Chase says here. So I can continue to see the difference of using points boost or not using points boost and probably have the best of both worlds. But for any new user, you're gonna be stuck either just paying what would be 1x or using points boost, which might limit how many options you see. I know it's a little bit complicated. And I don't wanna harp too into the weeds on points boost because it is a little bit complicated, but I personally think this is one of the best values for the Chase Sapphire Reserve. In fact, that's what made this a really interesting and compelling offer in the whole Chase trifecta, where you had a Chase Freedom and a Chase Ink card. You move the points to Sapphire Reserve and you guarantee that you could get 1.5x value. With the new points boost feature, and if you're a new card member, the only guarantee you have is you get 1x value, and maybe you can get up to 2x, but if you get the 2x or the 1.5x from points boost, you might have to pay at a base level more points because it's only, it seems to me at least, showing more expensive flight options. Hopefully that makes sense. And so net, this is kind of a pretty big downside of this new card. And it really shakes up the whole idea of having kind of the multiple cards building into the Chase ecosystem, though maybe that's what they're looking for. I don't know, but that's a huge downside. And a miscellaneous benefit, authorized users. So now today, if you want to add an authorized user to your Chase Sapphire Reserve, you would have to pay $195. And for context, the old Chase Sapphire Reserve had an authorized user fee of $75. Section 4, annual fee. The Chase Sapphire Reserve comes with an elevated annual fee of $795. Of course, I'd be doing you a misservice if I didn't count some of the credits that I think you can use to offset the annual fee. So of course, off the bat, we've got the $300 travel credit that never changed. Definitely take that off. And the $120 lift credit you can take off, which now gets us to about an effective annual fee of $375. The one that I think most people might be able to swing is that $300 StubHub credit, and so that knocks it down effectively to that $75 range. The other credits like the edit and the dining and even the DoorDash, I'm just not gonna count because either it's too complicated or it's putting you to spend something you wouldn't otherwise spend. Section 5, verdict and recommendations. For the everyday consumer, this is largely a devaluation and would make me really second guess if I wanted the card or if I would consider keeping the card. Let's be real. You probably just sat through a 10 to 15 minute long YouTube video where I go in depth to explain every single new feature, benefit, earning, point boost, redemption option, whatever it is. Could you imagine having to think through that every time you wanted to pick up a card? I mean, let's just even talk about credits. Some credits you earn for the first half of the year and then the second half of the year. Other credits you earn monthly. Whereas even other credits, even though it's monthly, you can only use a portion for a certain purchase, another portion for another purchase, another portion for another purchase. I mean, that's actually just crazy. It's almost like you need a spreadsheet to keep track of it. And I understand, that is what they want, right? When it comes to, it's just not Chase Bank, it's American Express, it's pretty much all the other banks. How can they incentivize customers to spend on that card to make them use the card more so that obviously they make more money? I get it, that's just business. But there are better options out there. I mean, Chase themselves used to have a better option. A $300 travel credit, you use it, you move on, you love the card, it's great, you keep it, phenomenal. The Capital One Venture X similarly hasn't gone this coupon way. Now, the American Express Platinum has very much been leading the charge with couponification, as we like to call it. But my point is, for the everyday consumer, it's just a pain in the ass to have to do this. And the other problem I noticed with the card, it's coming in at nearly an $800 annual fee, and it really is trying to push into the luxury segment. But let me ask you this, what screams luxury like spending $75,000 post-tax to get elite status with Southwest? Southwest. I'm not saying people who spend money don't fly Southwest, but if I think about those associations, something just doesn't really, it's just not computing for me. Whereas I think about a card like an American Express Platinum, and I'm not here to say that it's a luxury card, but from a marketing and brand perspective, it does position itself in that way. It does have the Centurion lounges and the Delta lounges at airports, right? And so if Chase wants to push into the luxury category, then now suddenly it's competing with American Express, and who's to say who takes a W? I mean, you let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to do a comparison video of the two cards. So I'd say if you're kind of the everyday user traveler, you should really start considering cards like the Capital One Venture X, where that travel credit is much easier to use, or no annual fee cards like the Built MasterCard that still offer you the 3x on dining, 2x on travel for everything, and you also get transfer partners. And if you're interested in either of those cards, you can feel free to check out a working affiliate link in the description box down below. Now, as for who this card is for, it is for the person who is gonna come in and use every single available credit, who is going to track what they're using to a T on a spreadsheet, who is going to remember for DoorDash, I can use $5 here, $10 there, $10 there, who is already thinking of paying cash for hotel stays at a 2-night minimum, and they can take advantage of the edit. There is a category of person that this is for. In addition, it's for the person who already has a Sapphire Reserve, is paying the old annual fee, and can take advantage of some of these features and benefits, and then decide, hey, is it for me and is it not? That is who this card is for. If you're someone who travels a ton and you book a ton of airfare and hotel direct, but you don't spend any money on any other travel category, this is your card. This is for someone who is going to spend $75,000 and they want Southwest Elite status and IHG Diamond status. However, unlike the Chase Sapphire Reserve of yesteryear, where it was just so easy for me to just recommend to someone who travel a little bit, spend a little on travel, I can't just sit back and say, okay, get the card. I really have to qualify you and make sure that you can get all the value from the card. Otherwise, I mean, at $800, that's an expensive credit card to hold on to. And that's the video, folks. Me personally, I'm gonna keep the Sapphire Reserve because I am that nerd who's gonna track every single benefit and credit and make sure I get maximum value from it. But for everyone else, consider alternatives like the Venture X and the Built MasterCard. Comments, questions, drop it down there. And if you guys want, I can do a deep dive now. Since Chase has now entered officially the luxury category, we could do a video comparing, let's say, the Sapphire Reserve to the American Express Platinum and see which comes out head to head. Cool, see you next time. Peace.